we're going to talk about understanding what we're debating in the resolution. Track this sheet right here with the little goofy guy on it. Understanding the resolution. The resolution is resolved. The abuse of illegal drugs ought to be treated as a matter of public health, not criminal justice. The abuse of illegal drugs ought to be treated as a matter of public health, not criminal justice. There are 5 keys to understanding this and proving this resolution. First, you have to define the words of the resolution. The words in the resolution. So, what do these words mean? What does abuse mean? What are illegal drugs? What does treated mean? What is public health? What is criminal justice? These are important words that we need to understand as we are talking about this resolution, because if we don't know what words mean, we aren't going to be able to have an effective debate round. Secondly, we need to know what type of resolution we have. What type of resolution? Is this a resolution asking us to take a specific action? Is this a resolution asking us to compare two things? We need to understand what type of resolution it is. We need to understand the context of the resolution. The context. Is this telling us just in the United States? Is this telling us this is in a specific situation? Is it saying when these two values conflict? What's the context of this resolution? Next, we need to understand the actor and action of the resolution. The actor and action of the resolution. Who is this resolution talking about? And what is the resolution asking that actor to do? This is an important question we need to be able to answer about every resolution we come across. And finally, we need to ask about the evaluative term of the resolution. The evaluative term. The evaluative term of the resolution is how is the resolution and the debate going to actually be decided? And does the resolution give us any guidance on that decision? So, let's go in some specifics about each of these categories. First, if we're defining the words that we are talking about in the debate round, what types of words might we want to define with this specific resolution? Well, we might want to define, as I already said, abuse, illegal drugs, treated, public health, criminal justice. All of these words may be very important and may have very particular meanings that the debate round could hinge on. For example, if treated means only a medical type of treatment, then it's a truism, because you couldn't treat something as public health and you could not treat something as criminal justice. You could only treat it as public health if treated implies only medical. When you're defining terms for the resolution, when you're debating, you need to make sure the terms are fair for both sides. Both sides need to be able to agree that the words we're using in the debate round don't skew the round and make it into a statement of fact. So for example, if instead it said, the abuse of illegal drugs in America happens, and that was the entire resolution, then there would be no debate. Both teams would not be able to argue about whether or not there is in fact abuse of illegal drugs in the United States, because it's a fact. We know that it happens. So you do have to define the terms. Secondly, we'll talk about the 2 different types of categories that you typically see in a Lincoln-Douglas debate. First, we have comparative resolutions. Comparative resolutions evaluate or examine both ideas and compare the benefits. Evaluate both ideas and compare the benefits. Second, we have absolute resolutions. Absolute resolutions, which uphold a general principle. They uphold a general principle. And prove that it is most often correct. So as we'll talk about tomorrow, we're going to talk about how the resolution is being proven correct in general. You aren't going to, in a value debate, actually talk about the resolution in every individual tiny instance. But in general, you're going to prove this principle to be correct. And so this might be saying that in general, we should be treating abuse of drugs as public health and not as criminal justice, even if there are a few obscure situations where we shouldn't. So these are 2 different categories of resolution. We should be able to think about whether or not a resolution is asking us to compare things, or whether or not a resolution is asking us for one specific thing only. And so in this situation, our resolution here is more comparative than absolute. It's not saying that generally we should have criminal justice as the only means of addressing something, or we should have public health. Instead, this resolution is saying in comparison, when we compare the benefits of the two, we think that we should have public health. But it's not an absolute. It's not saying that we should only have liberty or only have justice when we are talking about a specific situation. Next, we should talk about the context of a resolution. The context of a resolution gives us a chance to see who are we talking about and why is it going to matter. Specifically, the context limits the debate to a specific place or situation. The context gives us parameters of the debate. If we maybe said in the United States, when we have to think about human rights or national security, which is more important. However, the resolution we're debating right now doesn't have this kind of contextual clue that says it's a specific place. So this is going to be really interesting as we debate this topic to see whether or not teams take this resolution and go outside of the United States, or if people tend to focus the debate on things going on in America. So these sort of things might be examples such as when in conflict. And so you're only looking at a situation where the two values actually conflict. And so while we might like national security or we might like liberty, unless there's a conflict, that's outside the realm. Or we might say in the United States, and that limits the whole debate round to only how this value applies in America. And finally, we might say the abuse of illegal drugs. So this resolution we're looking at does not have a context clue about global, how broad or wide in the world sense, but it does say only the abuse of illegal drugs ought to be treated in a specific way. Finally, we should look at who the actor is. The actor is who is having this debate. Who is having this debate? Some resolutions may say the United Nations ought to value human rights over national security, or NATO ought to think of freedom over economic development. All of these are sorts of things that might provide us who is having this debate. Some debates don't actually have any context clue of that nature, and they end up leaving us with nothing other than just a simple debate on the specific topic we have. And finally, evaluative terms. And this is the key question, the key questions on where the debate is focused. The key questions where the debate is focused. The debate is going to be focused on one particular set of questions. It's not going to be which policy is better. It's not going to be who has more facts on their side. In the value debate round, the key evaluative question, the evaluative term, is going to be about who is having this, where is this debate going to be focused? Is this debate going to be looking at how does this help or hurt children? Is this going to be looking at how this helps or hurts the United States economy? Is this going to be looking at the United States standing in the world? All of these are things that might be part of a debate resolution, and we need to be thinking about that as we read every resolution we come to. So it's important to remember those 5 keys. We have to define the words in the resolution. We have to have different types of resolutions and identify what type we're dealing with. We need to look at the context of the resolution. We need to think of who the actor and actors and the action of the resolution. And we need to finally look at the evaluative term. Does this resolution tell us how we're going to actually think about who ought to win this debate? These are the kind of questions we need to be asking.